Hello, this is my Tuesday's Inner World, and I'm taking some comments and questions to relate to you from a group we had, a reflection Zoom group we had the other day. And I thought the comments and discussion were important. One of them was about what happens when we so easily get our feelings hurt. And we're just sensitive by nature, and then also we get a lot of messages that are negative. Some messages are out of meanness from other people. Some messages are just trigger us because of some of our earlier experiences. In any case, how do we build a narrative that changes the way we view and interpret things that happen to us? Because some people were talking about how often this happens, their feelings get hurt. And I was saying how sometimes we have these wounds and the negative feelings aren't just going to go away by themselves. We have to develop a new narrative. And how do we do a new narrative? Is by being with people who can value us and see us, starting groups like this, other ADHD groups or experiences, being with people who are creative like you or who share some other kind of common interest. I know I started a band class recently. I'm meeting new kinds of people, musicians, artists, other people I know have taken a risk, gone to a writing workshop, things that maybe you have inside of you. They've been waiting for time to take the next step toward, but that time never comes. So being with people who can see a different aspect of you, and when you start to develop a new narrative about yourself, these experiences build and build, and eventually you'll have a new interpretation. Otherwise, when you just keep that same old narrative, all you're going to do is take in the information that fits that narrative, and it's just going to grow in that direction. So you want to take in some new information, so eventually these new thoughts about yourself, new views of yourself will push out the more negative views. And that's how you're going to continue to build. But you have to take small steps. If it's something too hard for you to do, it's too big a step. So move slowly toward a new step to let in new information about yourself. So that's one issue that we talked about. And another, well, a closely related one is what happens then if you do feel like you're in a situation where you're getting what we call in our book, we quote the term microaggression, when sometimes we're not sure, that we feel like something's coming at us that's being negative, but yet we can't really identify it. Like I talked about in the group, I think people call it death by 1,000 paper cuts. So it's hard to validate your experience when you're used to discounting your experience. But we talked about, and members of the group were validated in their ability to say, hey, that hurt my feelings. Sometimes we just slip away or slink away or internalize more bad feelings. So getting in the habit, like some of the members were describing, of saying, hey, that hurt my feelings. Also, I had an experience right after that. Maybe it was because I was feeling empowered after listening to the group members, being out with somebody who I have often felt is sending these microaggressions, sarcasm, but I just had enough of it. And I had never thought of this before as bullying, but I see that it's neurobullying. It's bullying you in subtle ways to pull back, and to stop doing what you're doing. And because you're so sensitive to an issue, often related to ADHD, you don't set a boundary. So setting boundaries is something I don't usually talk about. I talk about expressing maybe you're hurt, but now when this person said something to me, it was just right away at the beginning of the evening, I said, hey, stop that. Stop sign is really important image I see to think about setting a boundary. Hey, that's not, especially if this is a repeated behavior, hey, that's not okay. Hey, I don't want to hear it. I said it good-naturedly, but I said it really strongly and authentically, which was really a big deal for me to express that kind of anger. But I was triggered, and I immediately said stop. And then for the rest of the evening, when I realized this bullying now, that this person was so nice, I was shocked. It's very nice and very warm. And this person didn't argue with me when I said this person knew what I was talking about, evidently, and they backed off. And so that's what I realized now. that some of this, what we call microaggression, is actually bullying, because they can get away with it. So setting a boundary is a really important way to stop this, as well as, depending on the situation, expressing a hurt feeling. Either way, you want to not just slink away and absorb these hurts. So it was a great group, and I wanted to share some of those comments and issues. Okay, thank you.